Hey guys, this is two. Um, we're gonna attempt to do this live stream every week for you guys. Let's see. Okay, we have two people looking.
All right.
Uh, maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
it's you and me.
oh.
That's fine.
Yeah,
We'll record it anyways. And
exactly.
yeah.
I don't know where I'm gonna put the recording yet. I mean, it will be on the Monk Facebook investor page for sure.
Yeah, no, you should save the recording in some kind of, Dropbox file somewhere, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you go back and revisit it maybe a few years from
okay,
now and see how much we've improved.
yeah.
That'll be interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so we're live now. Hey guys, this is Stu. I'm from Minnesota, and well, I just moved up here about 3 years ago. So I came up here mainly to kind of invest in real estate, and so yeah, we're hoping that we could do a series of these episodes or discussion to kind of build content for our Hmong investor group, and then also to kind of just share information and see if we can help each other out. If you guys could hear me, please like. I have my other screen here, so if you see me kind of looking off to the sides, because I'm seeing what the feeds are. So
All right.
yeah, if you guys could, if you see me or you hear me, let me know, because there's no point of us having a discussion and no one could hear us. So I know there's a couple of people watching. Let's see. Can you comment or say yes or no if you could hear us? I know Chai is commenting. It's a big shot.
Yeah,
So,
we're nothing personal. We are Hmong people, so some of these guys are in Hmong time.
oh, maybe we'll give that a few more minutes. But yeah, just let me know if you could hear me. Um, Let me see. Hear you guys fine. All right. So Chai Xiong is the big shot there. Who created the group. So you guys could kind of like, share, comment, so that he doesn't fire me from not allowing me to create content for the group anymore. Yeah. With that said, I think we have a few more people joining us. And then as we go, this is gonna be the structure that I want us to do. Basically, we'll talk about a topic, just kind of share, some information that we can for maybe like 20 or 30 minutes. And then after that, we'll open up for questions. I know that I created a post a few days ago, and I've been getting a bunch of questions, so I'll be asking Zach these questions as well. But later, if you guys have any questions, I'll be looking at the comments, and so feel free to type in your questions, and between Zach and I, we'll try to answer as many questions as we can to help each other. With that said, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Zach, why don't you give like 30 seconds introduction, introduce yourself, um, and just let everybody know who you are, and how and why did you get into real estate? I mean, this is a real estate show, so.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very humbled to be here. And let me just clarify something here. I am by no means an expert. Okay, so so let me just clarify that. And I think that as a community, as a group, you and Chai and all the big shots here, you guys are doing the right thing. We're educating our community, and I love it. And that's why I'm humbled to be here and share my experience and tell a little bit about what I know. So a little bit about my background. I've been investing for the last 20 years, and I've bought and sold over 500 properties in my little span of time that I've been doing it. I've been a landlord. I've done no money deals. I've done pretty much all the strategies out there, depending upon the timing, the economics, and everything else. At one point I landlorded up to 109 units, had 47 properties in my portfolio. I got rid of all of those. I've since basically focused mostly right now on wholesaling and private lending. I lend my own money, and I do my deals. But what I want to do is that maybe today, perhaps, we can maybe share some of the stuff that I've done maybe share some tips that I've found that works for me, and perhaps it could help everybody. Okay, cool.
Okay. Awesome. You're a Fang too, right? I just want to point that out.
Yeah,
So this is
absolutely.
actually my cousin. I've been talking to him.
Yeah, this might be a little biased for some of you here, you know.
So you used to live in Rhode Island when all of this happened, and then you recently just moved to where?
Yeah. So we have a joke. We call it the wrong island, you know. So for the for the longest time, you know, I've been up there since 97, you know, and I just and you know up there when I got up there, I got involved in real estate, and I just kind of took off from there. And for 20 years, you know, after a while, you kind of get sick of the winter, get sick of the snow. So I'm back here while Two's up in Minnesota. So we kind of switch spots here.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty about real estate. You can live anywhere and be able to do real estate. So even though I'm here, I still do a lot of deals. Actually, a majority of my deals now out of state, because you know the Southern California market is just insane. You know, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I used to live in San Diego. I lived there like
Yeah.
21 years, and then I moved up to the cold here.
Yeah.
Spot place.
Okay.
So,
Okay, you know, Minnesota is beautiful. I love Minnesota. So, you know, it's a great place to visit in the summer, fall, and spring. But winter time, I'll be back down here.
I see that. I see it sort of a way where I have to come up here and do my do all the work that you did when you were in the cold, and then I'll move back to San Diego.
be a snowbird. That's what they call a snowbird. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your first deal? I know we talked a little bit last week about it, but I think you kind of share what your first deal is, and then we could just so we know where you started it.
Yeah, you know, so this is my first deal. Is actually very typical, and I think for a lot of you who haven't done any deal, this might be a pretty good little strategy. So
at that time, you had like $2 million, and you have an 850 credit score, right?
Well, no, well, yeah. this is what happened. You know, I was basically I fell into real estate by accident. You know, I was struggling. I'm a college dropout. I'm still trying to get my GED basically. You know, but what I did was that I was struggling through life. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I happened to buy this real estate course. Still couldn't figure it out. And you know, I decided to get my real estate license so I can put everything together. It was still pretty tough, but here's the first deal. So what I did was, you know, I didn't use any of my money or my credit. You know, I found my girlfriend, you know, so I told my girlfriend, say, look, listen, I sold her the dream, and I said, let's buy some real estate together. So I used her credit and I used her money, basically, you know, okay. And we bought a $60,000 property. You know, this is back in, I think, 2000. We bought a $60,000 property. It needed some rehab, so we took out an FHA 203K loan. You know, it wasn't my credit. She had good credit. I had horrible. I had I think it was like a 485 credit score. I mean, no banks, nobody would touch me. But, you know, she had a so-so credit. She had like around 620, you know, so we were both young. We didn't really do much. Yeah, exactly. So she was marginal too. She barely made it. So I was flipping through the real estate magazine. I found this, you know, this American guy, and I called him and said, what's this 203K rehab thing? And, you know, that guy became my friend. We did a lot of deals later. But anyways, so he packaged the loan, and we did a 203K rehab loan. So we bought it for 60. We borrowed 30 on top of that, you know, and, you know, knowing what I know now, I would have done stuff differently. But way back then, my first deal, I'd be honest with you, man, I overpaid for everything. I overpaid the contractor, I overpaid for pretty much everything. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we were into it for a total of $90,000. And 6 months later, we sold it for $130,000. And, you know, made a quick $40,000. That's the most money I've ever seen in my whole life, I'm telling you, you know. And it was just crazy, you know. So we took that $40,000 and we bought 2 more properties, and we bought 4, we bought 8, we bought 16, and we just it just took off from there. I was just,
so, you know, so that was sort of the one that started you off.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first one, you catch the real estate bug. You're like, oh, shoot, I can do this again, you know.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. I went out there and I said, you know what? If it's that easy, I'll do it again and again and again. And 500 properties later, here we are, so that's pretty cool.
So for those who don't know, the 203K is part of the FHA loan program. So I mean, it's the same program. So it's a FHA program. You need about 3.5% down. So and then you borrow about like 30, or depending on there's two parts of the 203K, but one you borrow around like 30,000 or whatever you need to fix the property. So you bundle both of that into one loan. So how much did you kind of put down at that point? I mean, it's about 3.
So at that time, I think it was like around everything total, including closing costs and everything else, probably came to about $2,500. It was a very low end purchase, so it's not your Southern California type of property. So it was, it was cheap, and I needed a deal like that. It was just like 60 grand, and it's crazy because now I drive cars that cost 60 grand, but back then that house, that house, yeah.
That's a
pretty, I couldn't believe it, yeah.
That's a pretty good return on investment. 2,500, you made 40K, and then that rolled over to your next project.
And to be honest with you guys, that first deal there, I did everything wrong. But the whole key to this is to just take action. You're gonna make mistake. You're gonna do the wrong thing. You're gonna screw it up. You're gonna lose money. But take action and learn from it. That's the key. That was the key for me. I needed to just have my first deal done so that I can know that I can do it,
Yeah.
That's awesome. All of you need to do that,
Yeah. I just did my I just did my 2 or 3K loan, and paperwork was a lot, but it worked.
Yeah.
So
but it's fun. It's fun, and you do it, you get through it, and you're gonna be so proud. You're gonna feel so. On top of the money, you just feel so good that you accomplished something. To me, I felt like, oh my God, I discovered something. It's kind of like it's just an incredible feeling. If you do your first deal, you'll know that it's just an amazing feeling, and that deal I will remember until the day I leave this earth. So I remember that deal.
And now it's on the cloud, the internet. So it'll be
That's right.
out there in the ether. Before we move on, if you guys just joining us, we'll have a Q&A section at the end of this. So if you guys want, please like, comment, ask your questions, and then after we're done here, we'll start answering some questions that you guys have. It could be about anything. I mean, hopefully about real estate, but if you guys just want to know how good looking I am or how I get this body, just ask your questions, and then we'll get to it. I have 2 screens, so I'll be looking on this side to see the story. Yeah. So I'll be looking on the side too. If you guys see me kind of looking to my right or left, whichever you guys are looking at. So this week, I know that a lot of other real estate discussions or shows, they have like one guest, and then after that, it's like one episode. Then you can't really dive deep into it. So I wanted to do this where every week we bring kind of the same guest for at least 3 or 4 shows, and so that means that next week, every Sunday at 11 o'clock Central Time, we'll come back with Zak and ask him more questions about what he do, and maybe he could kind of teach us some stuff and some lessons that he's learned. So this week, I wanted us to touch about wholesaling, because I know you've been doing that recently. I mean, you've done everything, a lot of stuff, but more recently, you've been more focused on wholesaling. And the reason I wanted to get into that is because every real estate transaction or every real estate deal starts with finding a great deal, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're a wholesaler, you have to find even better deals than, non-wholesalers. Yes. So that's why I want to touch base. Let's start with that. And even if you don't want to do wholesale, you still need to learn how to find great deals, So what is your first, do you remember your first wholesale deal? How long ago was that, or do you remember?
I think, I'll tell you. I mean, here's what's cool about wholesale. I mean, you could actually, it's a perfect strategy for people starting new. I happen to do it the other way around. I became a rehabber first, a landlord, and then I became a wholesaler afterwards. But only because I didn't know any better. But my first wholesale deal came after the market crash, after the market crash and the bank stopped lending and, and this is probably around 2010, 2011. And I just found this ugliest property ever. I mean, it was just, and this is when it was the doom and gloom days. And some of you are probably too new. You probably got involved in real estate afterwards, so you don't remember these days. But in 2010, I found this ugly, ugly 2-family property, and it was selling for $19,000. Believe it or not, it's crazy. Yeah. That same property now, it's probably about 300 now. But anyways, at that time, yeah, the market has gone up. Crazy, So anyways, it was 19,000. It was ugly. It was all messed up, and and to be honest with you, at the time the market crashed, and I lost a couple $1 million, and I just I was just trying to get everything back. So 19 grand. I had all my money tied up on all this real estate, and I didn't have 19 grand. So I tied up this property. I said, geez, I want to buy. I want to rehab it like I did before. I want to rehab so I can either get cash flow or sell it. And I just didn't have the money. So I typed in a contract, and I kind of got stuck in it. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I call a couple of my people. At this point, I developed a little bit of network of people already. And I called a few people, and I said, guys, I got this property. I tied it for 19 grand. Any of you interested in taking over my contract? And, there were a few people, and they say, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 25 for it, They came in, sure enough, they gave me 25 grand for it. At the end of the day, off the closing costs and everything was done, I ended up netting about $2,500, So that was probably my lowest wholesale deal. But then it's kind of like one of those things, my first deal, I'm like, wow, I can do stuff like this and not have to take ownership of it, not have to worry about code enforcement, taxes, and water, and the sewer, and tenants. So you know what? I could probably do more of that. So that same year alone, it was an interesting year, because that year I made that wholesale flip. I made the smallest amount of money in a wholesale ever in my particular wholesaling career. And then also a few months later, I also did one that was skyrocket. I went to a different part of town, what we call the east side of Providence, which is a little bit ritzy. And there's this property, again, it was a probate, and these two investors, they didn't know what to do with it. So they came to me, they gave it to me for 30, but because it was a different part of town, I ended up selling that thing for about $120,000.
120.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
$90,000 wholesale. True story. I still drive by that property. That property now, so I sold it 120. It's worth about 600 now. So it's of the location. And so I went for that senior from the smallest wholesale, $2,500, to a mega $90,000 wholesale. And you don't get those all the time. My average wholesale now is around $20,000, but every now and then you do get those home run where you get the $50,000, $60,000 wholesale deals. Yeah. My average is about 20. And
so you kind of fell into wholesaling by accident.
Because again, it was the circumstance that kind of brought me there. Bank stopped lending. All my money was tied up. And the whole world was kind of falling apart. And I said, geez, I gotta make money somehow, and I have no money again. So I just gotta figure it out. So sometimes we always talk about it. Sometimes if there's a challenge in front of you, you just gotta overcome it. Once you overcome it, then the whole door opens up, and it's just like a blessing that's just just immeasurable. So
yeah, I think it was one of the guys, maybe Elon Musk, or someone said, if you want to make little money, solve little problems. You want to make a lot of money, solve big problems.
Absolutely true.
At that time, that was like the biggest financial crisis the U.S. had, other than the Great Depression. And you're able to solve different issues there that you make money.
And believe it or not, just to not to sidetrack you, but you're right. In the wholesale game, and we're doing small stuff. We're talking about these big players out in New York City and other. They do the same stuff. Yeah. They'll buy a building for $100 million and wholesale it for $150 million. So they do it at a different level. So it's all out there. It's just that we're small players, so we're doing all we can. But it's wholesaling is you can do it in any particular industry.
So I noticed, last week that I talked to you, were closing a wholesale deal like Monday, right? So how did that?
I did.
On that?
So it was, again, it's, And for those of you, I forgot to mention earlier, I also own a real estate agency. So I have some agents that work for me. So I have this agent, she's also an investor. And she, she came across this, this is also another probate deal where, the parents of these kids passed away. They inherited this house and they didn't know what to do with it. So my agent came to me and, they wanted 100 grand for it. So she said, if she lists this property, 100 grand, 3%, she's just going to make 3,000. She said, Zach, how can I make it a little bit more? I said, why don't you sell it to me and I'll figure it out, So she comes to me, I said, look, Sarah, I'll give you 7,000 over. So I gave her 7,000 over. So it became to 107. But then it was one of those interesting techniques where there are a lot of the investors out there, somehow they don't like what they call daisy chain. And daisy chain is when one investor gives it to another investor and so on and so forth. I don't mind daisy chains, as long as my property gets sold, I make my profit, I don't really care. So anyways, I have a text blast that I send out to all my investors and boom, it goes out. And my nephew, he gets this message. He calls me, hey, Zach, I think I can sell this thing for, at that time, I wanted 159,000 for it. So I got it from, Sarah got it for 100, gave it to me for 107, right? And my nephew is going to give it to me for 159. He's going to buy it from me for 159. But he in turn wholesale again to a total of 176,000. So you're probably wondering, how the heck did you go from 100 to 176? Let me tell you a little bit about the property. So it was actually a single family property on a double lot. Okay, so the end buyer, the end investor was going to rehab the single family and sell it for maybe 185, 200. So they're going to make money from the single family. They're also going to take the extra lot and they're going to build on it again. They're going to build maybe a two family or another single family where perhaps they're going to make 250 or a little bit more. So they know that at the end, their numbers, they're probably going to easily make an extra 150 to 200 easy when everything's sold. So they don't mind paying 176,000.
Yeah.
But it comes down to what you're saying earlier, because we got the property at such a deep discount that there was enough equity in between for everybody to make their cut. So yes, we did close on Monday, and Sarah made his 7,000. My nephew made his 16 grand, and we net out the rest, which is it's like 50 grand or something like that. It was crazy money.
Yeah.
So those deals do exist, and like I said, those deals are not an everyday deal. If you go out there and you continue to do these deals, right? Get the 5-10 grand wholesale. You're gonna get those home runs every now and then. And especially in this kind of market where it's where everybody's so crazy about real estate, you do have these big margins. Because everybody knows that the market is high and everybody wants to buy. So therefore, if you get it low enough, you have the ability to get a huge markup,
Yeah. So what I liked about that is that even the end buyer, the rehabber and the construction guys, they still gonna make a lot. They actually make more money than you guys.
Absolutely. These are the ideal, and these are deals I like because it's win-win.
Yeah.
Everybody won. The seller, the kids won because they inherit, the people who inherit the property, they want it because they got their 100 grand. They can split it amongst the kids and they're happy. It was a quick close. Sarah's happy. She made 7 grand. My nephew's happy. He made a ton of money. And by the way, my nephew is brand new too. So, and I think he's on the call. He's brand new. He came in and he's just, hey, I got this guy. And I kind of helped him. We structured together. So it was women. He made a ton of money in his first deal. And I just want to let him know that it doesn't happen like that all the time either. So if
don't be expecting that.
Don't expect that in every deal. He just hit a home run, and we made a ton of money. And at the end of the day, it was it's good. I told him, let's find some more deals.
Yeah. What's his name? Let's give him a shout out.
Yeah. His name's To Her.
Oh, To Her.
He's actually your cousin on your mother's side of the family.
Oh, you're talking about in Rhode Island?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know he invests. Now I know.
Yeah.
Well,
he just got in the game, so he's doing
right.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have about 3 more deals tied up that hopefully it's going to be closing soon too.
Okay. Yeah, as you know, I'm trying to build a team up there. and you laugh.
Yeah,
So
he's great. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's a good kid. Yeah, he learns fast. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll call him. All right, so that's a great deal. So then, if you want to start wholesaling, what are some tips that you could give for someone brand new, just like me or whoever, someone that's watching, if they want to get started, where and how should they get started?
Yeah, so it's so wholesaling is basically you're matching two people. You're matching a motivated seller, and you're matching an investor rehabber, or somebody who wants to keep it for landlord, whatever. And so you're playing basically a matching game. So the key to it is, and this is how it's very simple. I didn't know that. I had to actually pay somebody to learn this very, very simple thing. All you got to do is get 2 lists of people. That's it.
Okay.
You go out there, you get a list of motivated sellers. All right. You go get a huge list of cash buyers or investors and things like that. Okay. And one of the things that I did that really kind of took my wholesaling to another level is that I actually got connected with a bunch of private lenders at the same time. So here's what I did. I got a bunch of properties, and I found these investors. They came, they want to buy. They don't have all the money, right? So I go and I hook them up with a private lender, right? So the private lender said, look, listen, I'll give you 80% LTV. You still got to come up some skin in the game. So I said, no problem. I tell my guy, hey, come up with maybe $5,000. I'll hold a second mortgage. So you go in with almost no money down. I just want to make sure that you have some money in the game,
Yeah.
So because I have the investors, I have the sellers, I have the investors, and I got the lenders to give them the money to make the deal work.
Yeah.
That's what took my business to a whole nother level. Because a lot of people, they wholesale the deals out there, but then they don't actually help these investors get the money to rehab it or to do the deal. So therefore, they have to really find some strong buyers. Me, I'll take a marginal buyer. I'll take a guy who's kind of new in the game and say, look, listen, don't worry. I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to show you how to make money on your first deal. And that's exactly what happened. Here's a quick story. I actually helped a Vietnamese family in Rhode Island to get them started. I hooked them up with I sold them about 10 wholesale deals. I hooked them up with one of my private lender. And today they're doing phenomenal. They have over 300 properties.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 300 single, multi, and around 400 or 500 units. And they're doing gangbusters. So
you gotta hook me up.
yeah. So they're actually doing way better. But they're doing the landlording. So they're doing that. Yeah. And I like them because they're good clients. I like people who buy from me again and again and again because they're rehabbers. They buy it, they fix it up, they refinance it, they keep the property. So I like those. So I sell them, a lot of properties, and it's good. So if you help people how to make money, they always come back and buy some more from you. That's the key.
Yeah. So what I liked about how you kind of structure your how you run your wholesaling business is most people only have 2, right? They find they find the deals, which is the list of the willing the sellers basically, and then they find the investors, and then they match that up. But you actually add a third component to it where you have lenders to help the investors. So I like that. That's great. I never thought of that. So it's good.
No, if you do it like that, you make it very simple. I sell the whole package,
Yeah.
I sell the whole package. And if they need to, I'll get them contractors too. I sell the whole package,
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of my investors have made a lot of money, and I have a lot of returning investors. They come in, they always continue to buy. So we have the same investors buying again and again and again, simply because they've made money from us and they want to come back and make some more money.
All right. So with all this, it starts with a good deal, right? So if we'll probably touch more on the finding investors and maybe lenders maybe next week. But this week, let's focus on how you find a great deal, and then in the example you gave earlier, you have an agent that brought it to you. But aside from just an agent, how do you find a good deal? And give some tips on how to find a good deal, and then how do you know that it's even a good deal?
So first of all, how I did it in the beginning was once I started, I had no money, but I had a credit card. I improved my credit afterwards. So what I did was, I did some postcard mailing. To be honest with you, I did this very simple.
Direct mail. Yeah.
Direct mail. I used we buy a house postcard. And I sent a bunch of them out to particular zip code that I wanted to, farm in. And I sent out, I remember I did it, I don't do that as often anymore because I get a lot of different ways, and I'll touch on that. But I did a few times, and I would send out 5,000 postcards, and I have a dedicated phone number. And immediately when the postcards hit, I usually get a lot of calls. I did it pretty about a good, I say 5%. So usually I get around, when I send 5,000 postcards, I get about 10 to 15 that will call me. And then I get some people that will call me later. They'll put it on the fridge or whatever. So here's what I've done in the past. I would send them out. I get a bunch of calls. I go visit these properties, right? And some of the deals look good. I'll put in a contract, and I'll immediately, start working on it and start wholesaling it. And some of the ones that maybe are a little bit overpriced, maybe it's like above market. Then, here's the other thing and why you might want to consider doing this. I happen to be a licensed realtor, and I have other agents. So I simply give it to my agents. We list it, we sell it, we make a commission. Either ways, that's all good. So that's one way of getting deals. The other one, which a lot of people never think of, and when you hear on the internet, people always talk about off-market properties. That's good too. But I get a lot of my properties on the MLS and other realtors. And I buy stuff I go to auction, auction.com, Hubzu, HUD, HomePab, Zoom. And that's half of my deals, believe it or not. I do a lot of online auctions. I win these bids. And then I basically just wholesale it to the investors in the group, And between doing your own marketing and doing some of that, you could definitely get a lot of deals. I mean, it's a lot easier than most people think. I right now I do about between 45 deals per month, and just simply from doing, I don't do much personal marketing right now, but just from other realtors bringing me the deals, other investors, and from my own personal online bidding that I bid.
So you're in San Diego right now, but you're buying elsewhere, right? You're not buying like $500,000, $800,000 properties in San Diego.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, the San Diego market doesn't make a lot of sense. I'll tell you why. And I went to a lot of these investor meetings. I went to this group training where they bought this $700,000 property in Fullerton, California, which is next to kind of LA. $700,000. They're going to spend $200,000 in rehab, so they're going to be into it for $900,000, and they're just going to sell it for $1 million. So these three people are going to split $100,000 of profit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying to myself, that's too much risk for the return. I'd rather buy something for $100,000 that I can sell for $200,000, and maybe I'll wholesale it to my investor for $120,000, and he makes a profit. So less risk, but same amount of profit. That's the reason why I don't invest in San Diego.
You buy out of state. Yeah, at this point.
Yeah, what was that?
You buy outside of California, or at least
I'm waiting for California. I think Southern California is in such a huge bubble. I'm just waiting for the bubble to burst so I can buy everything cheap. It's gonna happen, It's gonna happen. I already looked at the income of what people are making compared to the real estate that they're buying, and if there's a hiccup in the market, these people are gonna lose their job, and all this house is gonna go into foreclosure. I'm gonna be the guy picking up everything down here.
Oh, okay. I'll be the second guy there.
Yeah.
So how do you know, getting back to it, how do you know that the deal is good when you get all these calls in, right? And then like they'll call in, hey, I'll sell my house to you for $100,000. How do you know that that's a good buy?
Yeah, so it's like everything. You kind of have to study the market, So you want to pick a particular market and want to understand the numbers, I use the analogy of cars, For example, if you have a Toyota Tacoma example, right? You know that a used Toyota Tacoma sells for around $8,000 or something like that. I'm just using an example. If all of a sudden you see a Toyota Tacoma selling for $3,000, you're like, dude, that's a no-brainer. I'm just gonna buy it because I know that Toyota Tacoma, I can sell this thing for like $8,000 to $10,000. I know that. I used to flip cars too. So. So it's the same concept. So basically you want to take a particular market. You want to say, okay, so the average in this marketplace sells for $250,000. So if I get anything that's, 120 to 130, 150, I have a good idea that it's a decent deal. Now I'll run my numbers. I'll run my comps in the area. But you already have an idea that that it's a decent deal.
Yeah.
that there's room to make money. So it starts with studying your market, knowing your market. And if you don't know your market, then maybe take a realtor to lunch and just start asking him a lot of questions about the area, you know. Or if you don't want to do that, then just go online. I mean, you go realtor.com, Zillow, you can see the past sales in the area. You can pull your own comps. But it would be a lot easier just make friend a realtor and just get all the numbers, you know.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of realtors on in this group too, and
Right.
I'm also a licensed realtor
Right.
in Minnesota. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, yeah, I do agree with that. You know, take a realtor out so that you could talk to them and know the market. All the realtors has access to all the data on the MLS, and then they will kind of know how much things sells for. I know on a personal level, when I started, I asked a couple of realtors to run some comps for me, and then I didn't believe them, which I should, because they have a bunch of experience.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and so my property, it was right where they told me it was gonna be at. So when I did the flip, I made a little bit of money, but it wasn't uh, as where I thought it was gonna be at. So yeah, take a seasoned realtor to lunch. You know, talk to them or coffee or dinner or drinks or something like that, and get to know
Yeah.
your market. Do you use any type of rules? Like it has to be you're buying like a 60 percent after the repair value, or are you using any type of those rules to kind of see if the deal's good or not,
Yeah,
or
you
even
know,
doing?
yeah, I've seen a lot of those, and I think it's a fantastic strategy, and I think new people should use that. For me, I'm old school. I've been doing it for a long time, so a lot of it come to me almost like intuitively.
Uh-huh.
But for somebody new in the game, definitely you should run your numbers to make sure that you add enough figures for hiccups and things that don't go the right way. So for sure, do a few of those. Then eventually you get comfortable, and it's gonna come to you like second nature. So to me,
Okay.
it became second nature. I don't do that, but I highly recommend you use some kind of system for that.
Okay. I think we have maybe 4 more minutes, and then we'll answer some questions. If you guys have any questions for us, especially for Zach, I'll try to answer some too if I know. I'm still fairly new. Uh, but answer your question, write in the comments, and then we'll try to answer your
Yeah.
question.
So one thing too. So I want to just put something out there. So right now, like I said, I'm doing about 4 or 5 deals per month, which is okay, and I'm living a decent lifestyle. But here's what I want to do. I want to put this out, okay? I want to do deals nationwide. So for all the Hmong investors across the U.S., from Florida to Sacramento, Fresno, Minnesota to Texas, Oklahoma, everywhere, I want to see if we can create a huge network of investors that we can wholesale together, all make money together. So for those of you who are super experienced, you can teach us that we don't have that much experience. Or for someone who's a newbie, we can come in and say, I got a deal in Tulsa, and I can get it for $100,000, but I think it's worth $250. And who's going to help me? Who's going to partner me in this deal? So if you guys have deals like these, I'm willing to come in, use my money, whatever I know. Let's wholesale some deals together. And I want to get up to doing 30 to 40 deals per month. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole nother level. I came down here in San Diego and I feel broke. I want to buy a mansion.
That's why I moved away.
So I just, when I was in Rhode Island, I was a big fish. Now I'm down here. I'm like a tiny fish in this giant ocean. So I need to do more deals, so I can get this mansion on the hill. So anybody who wants to partner up with me doing wholesale in the U.S., I'm going to partner with you. I'll find the financial resource. You just got to find the deal.
Yeah.
We'll split 50-50.
Well, I'm
Right?
a rehabber up here, so if you guys work with Zach or anybody, if you guys have any properties, let me know. Here in Twin Cities, that's just a plug, shameless plug for myself.
Yeah.
All right, let's start asking some questions. I wrote some questions here, and again, if you guys have any questions, type in the comments, and we'll try to go through them. Last week I posted some. Last week I created a post, and there's some people that were writing some questions there, so we'll probably go through those too. Let's see. Can you really start wholesaling with no money? That's the first questions.
Yeah, like I said, I did it the other way around. I became a rehab before I started wholesaling, but wholesaling is very simple. Like I said, aside from finding the motivated seller to the lenders to the end buyer, you basically take a contract, you tie up a contract, and you basically assign the contract. That's it,
Yeah.
and it's very simple, So I didn't know it was that simple, but it's pretty simple. And you can put your assignment fee right on the contract. For example, you can say assignment fee of $5,000 paid to Zak Fang upon closing. So that goes right on the contract, and it's not a big deal. The only time I don't do an assignment contract is because maybe my spread is too high. For example, the last deal where the spread was like freaking 87,000. That one I did like a double closing because I don't want the seller to freak out that, oh my God, you're making 87,000.
Yeah.
So on that I do a double closing. But if it's something small, $5,000-$10,000, basically I use an assignment contract, and I just put I just assign it to the end buyer, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
We don't have time to go into details, but next time maybe we'll take that assignment contract and we'll break it down on what to say, what to do, whatever. That'll be it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna be on these calls for at least the next month or so. So
Right.
let's start going through so these are questions from people that have been asking. So I'll read them off, and then you could answer them. And if I could help answer any of these questions, I will try to. Let me see. Peter Yang says, "What methods do you use?" Well, in this case, we're talking about wholesaling. So
Right.
But you do a lot of other stuff too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could do subject tos, you can do lease options, you can do, I do some, lending on the side simply because I like the cash flow. Fix and flip. There's a lot of things, landlording. There's a lot of strategies out there. Like you said today, we're just kind of focusing a little bit on wholesaling. We're just touching up on that, but perhaps next time we'll go into other details on other strategies. Yeah.
Yeah. Next week we'll let's see. Well, let me just ask more questions. Let's see. Rusty says, with the rise of Redfin and other companies like Zillow, how do you plan to overcome, or are those companies, these websites, real estate websites, are they even a threat to your business, or what's your thought on that? I think that's
actually, I did think about that, but I think that they're going to be good partners because here's what's going to happen. When you're a big entity, I think you move a little bit slower, than small guys like us where we can just be very fast. So what I'm actually thinking is that I want to find some properties that I can wholesale to them, because they got the money, right? So I want to get some deals I want to wholesale to them because the way their model is that their margin is very small, but they want to do volume, I want to do perhaps more quality deals, where I can get a bigger chunk. And I don't need to, we don't need to be a Redfin, to do that. I don't think it's really going to affect your model. And not only that, they only buy for some reason in some certain markets. Like I noticed that they'll buy in Arizona's and California's and Texas, Florida, properties where they look like it's like 1980 or newer. They don't want to buy properties like in Minnesota where it's built in 1800, right? Somehow they're afraid of all the stuff. But nonetheless, I want them to come into some market, my market, or I want to go to their market, and I want to find some deeply discounted properties, and I want to sell it to them, to be honest with you. So I think I look at them as a good partnership in the future.
Yeah, I think Zillow has that right now. I'm sure Redfin does too, that they buy your property. Right. But I heard that you have to be careful with all the closing cost fees and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I heard that too. Yeah, exactly. It's insane on the back end. Yeah, correct. I heard that. Yeah, but too. So lately it won't be a threat to me. I don't know. Perhaps let's see 10 years from now. But for now, it hasn't affected me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe he also talk about like the availability of data now, where seller maybe doesn't have to go through you anymore. They could just go straight to Zillow or something like that. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, but it's kind of like what you say. You usually, let's just say if you come across somebody like that, you can say, look, listen, I understand that you're going to go through Zillow, but like you said, you could probably just break down Zillow's numbers. So this is what you can expect from Zillow. This is what you can expect from me. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm local. I got the cash. I got everything together. We can close this thing next week. with those guys, I'm not really sure. You know, they'll come back with all kinds of counter offers and all kinds of fees, and not sure. But you know, would you want to deal with somebody local? You want to deal with somebody you have to go through a bunch of phone messages to get through. You know.
Okay. All right. Peter asks, what motivated you to become a real estate investor?
So kind of like I mentioned earlier, I stumbled by accident because I was a college dropout. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life, and I was broke, and I was driving a beat up car with no AC, and I needed to do something fast in my life. I needed to make money fast, you know, and I was working on Talk About they don't pay that much, you know.
Yeah.
So I just decided, hey, you know, I bought this course in real estate, I'm gonna make it work. So it's just that determination, you know. Once you get in, just make a decision that you're gonna succeed regardless.
Do you remember how much that course was when you bought it?
Yeah, it was a course by this guy named Carlton Sheets. He's kind of like the grandfather, you know. This guy was right next to Tom Vu, if you remember, way back in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know. So Carlton Sheets, an old guy with the white hair, and I think I probably paid like $500 for that course. And it had all this no money down strategies, you know.
But now you can teach us for free.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but not only that, but right now because of technology, a lot of this stuff are free on YouTube, internet, and, you know, bigger pockets, and you know, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Sure. Free.
Yeah, I'm on bigger pockets all the time. So
yeah, exactly. A lot of the contents are free out there. Yeah.
What's your opinion? Well, now that we're sort of on the top of the market, sort of, right? So what's your opinion about us being close to or at the top of the market?
Yeah, you know, I guess if you're long term, you know, buy and hold, it doesn't really matter. You know, if you're gonna buy properties to keep for long term to cash flow, I guess it doesn't matter that much, because I remember the last crash in 2007, 2008, the market just came back to that level. So if you bought it at the peak, you're now okay. You know, so it's not a big deal. So I think if we do have a correction, I'm sure that eventually it's gonna come back to that particular area. I would say one thing though. I mean, I would probably focus on the right area, you know, because one thing, you know, people always talk about don't wait to buy real estate and wait. And I always kind of disagree with that, because some markets are different. For example, if you go to Michigan or Cleveland, Ohio, geez, you could buy a property for $30,000, and I scratch my head all the time, because to build a brand new one actually costs more, right? You know, so I guess location is kind of the key. So if you buy the right location, plus your long-term vision of it, you know, then I think you should be okay, you know, regardless if the market takes a dip or not, you know. There might be a small correction. I don't think we're going to see something like what we saw before again.
Yeah, for me, I buy it long-term. I buy it whole.
So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. A lot of my deals, you know, it doesn't really matter to me. I just need to make sure my number works and my cash flow works.
Right.
So I'm more concerned about like the rental market more than, you know, the actual market. I just need to make sure that my market sustains the rent.
What I found, and I didn't know this, the bottom line is that you want to look at the economics of the city or the town. You know, you want to know that they have strong job growth, that industries and technologies, and that the local politics are friendly, where they're allowing businesses to come in and allow business to grow, because, you know, the business will allow people to have jobs, and people have jobs, they buy houses, you know. So that's kind of the key. So you want to look at those indicators if you're gonna, you know, buy for long term. You just want to make sure that you know, it's that you know, everything is in economically is intact. You know, because for example, if you look at these markets like, you know, Boston to Atlanta to San Francisco or San Jose, yeah, they'll come down, but because they have so much jobs, it doesn't matter. It'll just boom, come right back up. You know, so it's the economics behind the whole city.
Yep, so for sure. This sort of under the same line of being on the top of the market too. What's the best exit strategy for purchasing a property that is at the height of the market? I mean, do you have any recommendation or comment or concerns about?
If you know, because we don't know where's the high of the market. So if you want, you know, you can buy, and like I said, buy long term. You know, like you're saying, just make sure that, you know, the numbers cash flow. If you're gonna buy as a rental, just make sure you're cash flowing from day one. If not, then don't buy. You know, unless you're buying for speculation. But if you know that the market might change, then don't speculate. Just buy because the numbers make sense right now. Or do what I do, you know, because if you don't want to be in it for the long term, then just get in, get out. know, wholesale, get out, get in, get out, get in, get out, and then just wait till whatever happens.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, wants me to ask you, what's your name? So.
Oh yeah, that's true. This whole time, my name is Zak Fang. You know.
Well, in case someone,
I didn't
people might have
introduce
joined
that.
us. People might have joined us afterwards. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah. My
after
name is Zak Fang. Yeah, that's right.
let me see. What type of loans do you recommend and why? So I guess maybe talk about a couple of loans with wholesaling or
Yeah, you know, a lot of people. Here's what people don't understand. When they're trying to get a good deal, people they get so afraid of paying these hard money rates. Like I used to pay when I started out with hard money, I pay 18% before. And you think, oh my God, that's credit card rates. And it's a little scary, you know? But if you get in, get out, what's the big deal, you know? So if you, for example, if you buy something for 100 grand and you're just gonna wholesale it for 120, you know, and maybe if you have to own it for a couple months, so what? 2 months of payment, that's no big deal, you know? So that's on the hard money side. And if you do that, that's gonna allow you to have access to so much money to do your deals and be able to do more deals, make more money. But if you're talking about maybe what loan can I get for conventional loans, then nowadays there's all kinds of programs now. You know, you got your FHAs and you got your conventional, and they also have the new bank statement loans for self-employed people like us, where you can just use your bank statement and you'll qualify for a loan. So if you're gonna get a house and that you're gonna get traditional financing, then I encourage you to talk to a loan officer that could probably lead you the right way. If you're looking for hard money, perhaps, you know, we can talk about that. That'll be another subject where next time I can give you all the sources of hard money that I use. You know?
Yeah. I know a couple of hard money lenders up here too, and I tell you what, my first hard money lending deal, they were kind of sketchy with me, right? But after I finished that first deal, like they kept emailing me. They're like friendly to me now.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. These people, remember, keep in mind, a lot of times they're using their money. Like I use my money. So if I don't know you, I was like, I don't know. But if I done 1 or 2 deals with you, we got a good record, I'll be calling you too. When you need some more money, you know, and that's kind of how it works. Yeah.
So now my problem is finding good deals.
Find the deal. Finding the deals. Yeah.
But my very first deal, my issue was finding that money.
Right.
So, that's good. Let me see. Let's see. Let's go to the actual live feed and let's see, because those are questions that people asked before. Let me look through it quickly here. A2 Vang, the replay will be on here, so if you want to watch it, you know, just look. It may come back to here. It should still be here. Let's see. How do you analyze the market other than talking to a realtor? Because we talked about that. What indication do you look at a market before you even start, you know, saying that, okay, I'm gonna go after this market?
Yeah, you know, luckily we live in a day and age where all this information is available online. You just have to take a little time to research it. But there are some data, I forgot the actual name, where it will tell you if the market has increasing population or decreasing population. They'll tell you about the job growth. They'll tell you about how many companies in there. They'll tell you about how much jobs. So those are the ones you want to look at. And when I start looking at some towns, there are some towns where they have a declining population. And in my opinion, I want to stay away from those declining population. I don't want to be, you know, buying something and then 10 years later it becomes a ghost town and I spend 100 grand, now it's worth 10 grand. So, you know, for me, I want to make sure that it's an increasing population, you know, and that way I know that the demand is going to be there and there's going to be a slow inflational type of demand on my particular asset. So, like if you look at some towns, if there's a lot of census data, I was going to say, look it up and you'll see it. It'll tell you exactly which town is increasing in population and jobs, which town is decreasing, which town being people are leaving, you know? So like I got these people call me from Pennsylvania and this little town called Johnstown, Pennsylvania. So they want to sell me these properties for 30 grand. And I said, you know, it sounds pretty cheap. The cash flow looks good. But when I started looking at the numbers, I noticed that the town is almost a ghost town. People are leaving, you know, so jobs are gone, people are leaving. So I'm thinking like, if I buy this 10 years from now, I'm gonna be stuck with these properties. So these kind of things you want to kind of look at before you start to invest in. If you live in the city and you know it's different, but if you're gonna invest out of town, you don't know, then of course you want to do those research before you jump in.
Yeah, for sure. Pakus asks, how did you fund your first deal? You used a 2 or 3K loan, so I just want to let her know that. That's part of the FHA program. If you have questions about that, contact your loan officer. They should know. Let me see. There's some more questions here. Um, do you use any system to track your wholesaling business, or to generate leads and talk to leads and things like that?
Yeah, I personally right now I don't have a system now, but definitely you want to have a system so you can kind of track all the little numbers so you know what's working, what's not working. Right now I just been focusing on one market, and to me it's second nature, but I highly recommend that you get some kind of system. If not, that you build your own little system where you can track, okay, I spend this much money on marketing, I got this many calls, I got this many, I closed this many, this is how much it makes. So you want to have some kind of system like that, which I don't have right now. And if you have one, feel free to share, and I'll be open to it.
All right. When you start doing the 20 and 30 deals a month, I think you're gonna need a system.
Exactly. I'll be honest, and like I said, like I said from the beginning, I'm far from being an expert or a guru, and we're just kind of sharing this platform because I've done a few deals, and I think that for the newbies, I can help you. And for those of you who are super advanced listening to this, thank you for listening, and we're hoping that in the future you can share some of your strategies too.
Yeah. So how long does your I think this is from Yet Tal. The question is worded weird, but I think he or she just wants to know how often do you hold your wholesale deals? Like from getting the lead to closing, what's sort of the timeline for that?
Yeah, so fantastic question. So here's what I do. Once I tie up a contract, I have here's what I use. I use a texting system, and I have a bunch of these investors on my text blast, and I just send out a text blast, and they usually sell in 24 hours. So I get my contract signed to buy it, and then I start marketing it. I just send a text blast out. All right. Actually, a lot of times I use Craigslist to advertise too, and I get a lot of cash buyers from Craigslist, believe it or not, and that I put on my list. And then I send out a text blast, and usually I get a bunch of texts back. Say, oh, I'm interested in looking at it. I want to pay this. I want to pay that. So a lot of times we sell this property 1 week at the time that we get it. 1 week meaning that I have it under contract. And then from there, they're going to do their title. They're going to do all kinds of stuff. They're going to get the money ready. And typically we'll close anywhere from 14 days to about 30 days.
Oh, so a month, under a month.
Yeah. Depends on how fast the end buyer goes.
Yeah. So the last one that you did, the one with all the daisy chain that you just closed on Monday, how long, from beginning to actually closing on Monday, how long was that?
It took 14 days because they used a private lender. So the private lender had the money available, and it was just a matter of having the title search done, make sure that there was no other issues with title and everything else. But it took about 14 days. So it was pretty fast. Yeah.
Okay. I think we have one last question. If you guys have any more questions, comment below. We're kind of done for the hour, so maybe we'll, if we can't get to your questions, we'll answer it next week. Let's see. What's the secret to 10x your business? This guy has been watching Grant Cardone. So, what's the secret to 10x your business? You started from something, and you.
Yeah, so I honestly, like I said, I'm no expert here, so I haven't really 10x. That's what I wanted to do, actually, to 10x my game.
Oh, yeah.
For me to 10x it is that I got to be outside of one market. I got to be in multiple markets. So for those of you who want to help me 10x and help yourself 10x, whatever. So if you're doing one deal now, you want to do 10 deals, then let's all work together and let's 10x together, because I think if you just stick in one market, you're probably going to do what I do. You're probably going to be about 3-4 deals per month, and you might be happy, but I'm not happy. I want to do about 30, 40, 50 deals per month, and the only way you can do that is that you got to play in the big playground. You got to be in the whole U.S. You got to have this whole network, this whole team of people, boots on the ground and everything else, and realtors and lenders all over the place that's all connected. So That's the way to 10x my game plan, and you can 10x your game plan if you want to work with me.
Yep, that's awesome. How do you deal with sellers that don't want to do a wholesale deal with you? You know, they don't like the idea of wholesaling it. Do you cash?
Uh,
Basically, they don't want
you
to see
know,
that assignment fee or how much. Do you cash them out first and then you
yeah, exactly. You know,
sign it?
if I, you know, it all starts with the conversation. So when I go meet with people, I don't go salesy. I go and I make a very nice conversation first, build rapport, just kind of find out where they are in life, why are they stressed, whatever, right? So once you find that situation, you'll know if this person is going to be complicated to deal with, or you'll know if this person is going to be workable. And if I sense that they're complicated, then I just like you said, I just do a straight deal, my name on it, I'll close on it, and then I'll sell it. You know, it's not a big deal. Or I'll put my name, but I'll market it, and I'll do a double closing, meaning that I'll close one with him first, where it's just me and him, and then when he leaves the closing table, I'll close with my end buyer. You know, so I keep two separate transactions. So for those complicated people, I do that, and I have done that multiple times, just so you know, just to kind of keep it clean.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think that's all the questions I see on there. If you guys ask later or watch this in the future, I'll come back and read these comments. So we'll be back next week. We'll try to do this at least for this month or so. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. So I think that's probably like 9 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you more questions, and maybe next week we'll focus more on funding and anything else that I want to learn.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you some closing questions, and then I think we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
Let me see. I sort of asked you these last week when I was talking to you too. But what are some real estate books, or what's a real estate book that you recommend? And then what's a takeaway? One takeaway that you would like us to know about that book?
Yeah, you know, I've read so many books right when I got involved in this business, I was one of those guys where I was just hungry for information. So I took a ton of seminars. I spent probably about 100 grand in seminars. I bought every book on real estate I could get my hands on. I read every book out there. And after a while, I mean, honestly, they all do kind of sink in. If you're new, then I recommend, go online or go to Barnes and Noble if they're still around your town and buy a book on beginning real estate investing. They have some really good strategies on that. Me personally, you know, if you're cheap like me, you don't want to spend a lot of money, I go to the Salvation Army, and then they have, believe it or not, they have a whole section on books. And just yesterday, I bought a bunch of books over there for like $2 a piece, where they're selling for $30, right? You know, I don't have to pay shipping costs like Amazon and stuff like that. So you can learn a lot on a very small budget, and that's what I did. And I bought a bunch of books. But when it comes to any particular book, honestly, just read a beginning real estate book, and it'll do you well.
Okay.
And then from there, if you have questions, then reach out and network with other individuals. Say, hey, how does this wholesale thing really work? How does this subject to really work? How does this lease option really work? And you're gonna find out that there's a lot of people out there that are willing and very, very open to helping you and answering all your questions. I was shocked, but there are some really good people out there.
Yeah, me too. I recommend the book by Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets, Little or No Money Down. I think the title is way longer than that, but it's something like Little or No Money Down. When I read that, it just teaches me like all the different strategies that you could use. It's not like a one type of strategy thing.
Yeah.
Your job, like how I see it, is our job as real estate investors is to kind of find the best strategy for that situation. And it could be a combination of these strategies.
And you're right too. And a lot of times, what you're going to find out is that you want to know every strategy, but eventually you're going to gravitate to one that you particularly like. I know some people, they like lease options, or they like subject to, or they like so you're going to eventually find something that you particularly like, and but you just want to be aware of all these strategies, so that if there's anything that okay, I could probably just take over the loan through a subject to strategy and not have to get the funding myself. So you want to just know this kind of stuff, so that when the opportunity pops up, you know how to take advantage of it.
Yeah. What's a business book that you recommend? I know you talked to me about it, and I think I know which book you're gonna talk about. What's a ticket
Yeah.
from there that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I read, and like I said, I read a lot of business books simply because, I didn't go to a business school, so I feel like I always feel like I'm a little bit behind, so I'm always reading these books. But the latest book I read, which I read about 3 times now, is that the 4 Hour Work Week. It
Yeah.
doesn't talk about real estate in particular. It's by this guy named Tim Ferriss. He
Yeah.
talks about how you can replace yourself and how you can just work basically 4 hours a week and enjoy the life you want. And it, that's what I want to do is I want to actually, in going forward, I want to get a bunch of virtual assistants to do all kinds of stuff for me, so that I can go there and just kind of lay on the beach on a hammock between 2 palm trees.
I think that's the cover
Exactly.
for the book,
Exactly.
right?
I want to do exactly that, and I want to hire a virtual assistant to bring me refill my drinks for me. That's what I want to
Haven't
do.
you been doing that in San Diego though?
I have, that's the thing. I've been too comfortable. I got to get back in the game here. I got to build my system so that I can 10x, like the gentleman said earlier, and be able to do 30, 40 deals, and then really get on to the next level. Yeah.
I think if you're at the beach in San Diego next time, you should take some picture of the palm trees.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get a hammock just to do that. That's a good idea.
All right. I think those are, I mean, we went through a lot of stuff today, and we'll be back again, like I said, next week, 11 o'clock, Sunday, 11 Central Time, back on this platform again. And so you guys have more questions then, please, comment here, or, at that time, join us and let us know. I appreciate everybody that joined, commented, and shared. If they want to reach you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I guess you could.
Their mentor. So
So I guess you can look for me on Facebook, Zak Fang. I think there's might be one or two Zach. There might be one or two other imposters, but I'm the real deal. So you see my face. Or you can reach me by phone, 951-234-1981. Or my email, zakfang@hotmail. I'm still a Hotmail guy. So
wow, Hotmail.
Right now,
You need to switch over to Google.
I got to get back. I got to up my game. Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. If you guys can, please comment on maybe next week's topic. I think we're still gonna talk about wholesaling, but more maybe on the funding and finance side of that. But if you guys want to cover any topics, please. Comment on there. I'll take a look at it, and I'll ask Zach for the next topic. So that's it.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for your time. Good luck. Let's make some money. All right.
All right. Thank you, Zach, and thanks to everybody. I'll see you guys next week.
All right.
All right. Later, man.
All right. Later.